Hello, good morning still. Thank you for being here. I do want to say this. Number one, I am thrilled to be able to be here. This is the first time that I've come to this. Here's what I'm going to do. Will it work if I do that? Yeah. I'm going to do it the other way around. Okay, can you hear me? Yeah. What I want to tell you is this. First of all, I am thrilled to death to be here. This is very exciting stuff for me. I grow citrus for a living every day. So as a farmer, I understand we always need to be looking for other opportunities, other crops, other places that we can invest our resources, invest our capital, our time, our energies, whatever it is, no pun intended, to produce hopefully something that's good for the planet, that's good for the marketplace, and so self-servingly, I guess I should say, that not just because I'm a chair of an appropriations subcommittee that deals with agriculture and natural resources, but because I'm a farmer. I'm looking for opportunities every day, and I appreciate you taking the time to spend time with us today. Second of all, I want to make sure that you know, because please understand, I work hard to be a very open and transparent person, and I work very hard to communicate effectively, so when I say this to you, I want to make sure that you know I'll say it with a huge amount of respect. Not that I'm not making any assumptions about what you believe or don't believe, but I will tell you this, it is significant that a future Speaker of the Florida House is here today. I want you to know that. I've been friends with Steve Crisafulli for a long time, and I'm going to tell you the man is very, very busy, rarely sees his family. He travels all over the state. He's on an airplane right now. But I will tell you, he thought it was important enough to come here and spend time with this group and interact with folks that get outside of the box. And I want you to know that's significant. The thing I need to do now is I need to introduce our panelists. We'll start with Pat Ahlm. He works with Algenol Biofuels. They are exciting. The things they are doing really could very well change, quite frankly, change the planet and how we view ethanol. Pat, you want to speak just a minute about your company and whatever you'd like? We have some technical challenges, sorry.
Thank you, Representative. I'm just going to mention a few things about our company and where we're at, and then I'll wait for some questions towards the end. So Algenol is an industrial biotechnology company, and we're working on commercializing an algae-based process to produce ethanol and other biofuels. We were founded in 2006 by 3 Floridians. We've grown considerably since then. Our primary operations are on the other coast in Fort Myers, where we operate a commercial development campus where we have 60,000 square feet of lab and office space, 4-acre outdoor process development, and a 30-acre pilot scale facility that we got some funding from the Department of Energy a few years ago, and we just started operating that facility this year, and we'll be scaling it up throughout the year. So I started with the company about 4 years ago, and this project is a few years in the making, so it's exciting to start to see some things being deployed and actually put on the ground out there. So a little more about the company. Founded in 2006. We got some initial funding. I think it's a good example of a public-private partnership to the extent that we were founded with private money. We made some significant advancements, proof of principle type work. At that point, we had some labs and different things in different parts of the country. We got some government support in about 2009, 2010. Relatively small in the government world, but that funding and that project gave us some legitimacy to go out to the private market, and that's where we've raised the bulk of our capital to be able to do what we've done is in the private market. But I think there's a good collaboration between ourselves. The Department of Energy has certainly been a player throughout the project, and Lee County also deserves a lot of credit. At one point, we were going to build our project in Texas, but we worked with Lee County, and we were able to consolidate our operations here in Florida. Florida's potentially a very good place for Algenol to grow and expand, and we've done that. We have about 120 employees working at that Bonita Springs office. About 50 of them have advanced degrees, a lot of molecular biologists, aquaculturists, and engineers, and those kinds of jobs, so very high-paying, high-tech jobs. So it's been a good partnership with Lee County. I'll just move on and talk about the technology a little bit. So we're working with cyanobacteria, so what we're basically doing is overexpressing certain fermentation pathway enzymes in that cell, and then we feed it carbon dioxide. But at commercial scale, will be from an industrial source, so we'll be, sequestering that carbon dioxide. And what the cells do then is basically use solar energy to convert those photons into chemical energy in ethanol. And we use salt water. We don't use fresh water. We don't need farmland. We grow them in closed photobioreactor systems. So the technology, earlier on in the company, we have thousands of different strains of algae that we've narrowed down to what we see as a handful of potential commercial scale organisms that can withstand the temperatures where we'll be deploying and those types of things. So we really have advanced past some of that initial work, and we've found some organisms that we think can really perform at commercial scale. And now it's all about scaling up, and that's what we're doing at that pilot scale facility. So, so the biology is the main part of it, and just incidentally, the biology is based on a technology that our CEO developed when he was undergrad student back in the 80s, and kept pursuing the idea throughout that time, and in 2006 really decided it was worth trying to make a go of it, and we've had some success since then. So as I mentioned, we grow in an enclosed system, so that's the other part, is the engineering as we deploy those outdoors. Just a quick note about CO2. Like I said, we will be at commercial scale. The vision is to co-locate near industrial CO2 sources, take that CO2, and we can convert that into about 130 gallons of ethanol. And then we also take, on the back end, we take the waste algae and use a hydrothermal liquefaction process, which our engineers tell me we just make it really hot and throw some chemicals in there, and then we can produce a biodiesel as well. So we've expanded that from our original focus a few years ago to have a two-step process that gives us the ability to produce two different fuels. And also consume that waste, which earlier on we were looking at it as a liability, but over the last couple of years we've worked with Pacific Northwest National Labs and some others to incorporate those conversion technologies as well. I'll just show us a couple of pictures of our site now. This is our molecular biology lab in Fort Myers. We also have a molecular biology lab in Berlin where we have about 40 molecular biologists that are really focused on that aspect of the technology. And then our labs in Fort Myers do a lot of the technology transfer, but then also scaling it up to be able to deploy outdoors as well. There's an order. So this is our campus in Fort Myers. These two buildings are ours. We've cleverly called them buildings 1 and 2. This is dedicated to engineering. This building is dedicated to biology. And you start at this end, and that's the molecular biology part. And as you work your way down the building, we have some very sophisticated culture rooms where we can grow and do lots of different small-scale experiments to be able to optimize different things before we progress outside. So this is our process development unit that we've been operating for about 2 years now. These two greenhouses, that's where a lot of the standard operating procedures and optimization and first deployment outdoors is done. So that's been a very important facility for us over the last couple of years. And then this is just the other angle. This is the integrated biorefinery, which is our pilot scale facility, and that's what we got some partial funding from the Department of Energy for. So this is a processing pavilion that will, when we're scaled up, we'll have all of the equipment to be able to go to commercial fuel grade ethanol and biodiesel. And this area is 30 acres, and we'll be building that out. Right now, this area has about 500 of the photobioreactors out there, and we're doing a lot of scale up and starting to produce ethanol there today. And so as we scale up, this is where that will be over the next year. And our technology is very modular, so scaling it up even to 2 to 3 acres is a very important step for us to be able to, demonstrate that we can go to 500 or 5,000 acres, which is, commercial scale. I think I'll leave it there. There'll be some questions, and thank you.
Okay, thanks. Next we have Bob Bogart. Tell you what, why don't I just do this? So you can stay comfortable. Unless you have a presentation.
No, I don't.
Okay.
All right. I'm Bob Bogart. I'm with Florida Grown Specialties. Florida Grown Specialties is a wholly owned subsidiary of Philip Ruck's Citrus. We are located in Frostproof, Florida. Philip Ruck's Citrus Nursery is the largest citrus nursery in the United States. We produce close to 750,000 trees a year. Our greenhouses encompass about 350,000 square feet. One thing we've noticed in the last 4 or 5 years that the greening is starting to take place and is eating it. And it's unfortunate, but we decided we have to look at something else. We always want to be in the citrus business, but we see the opportunity with sustainable energy. So we took the advice of some people, talked to some people at the University of Florida, and we purchased some licenses for a Eucalyptus grandis. There's 5 different cultivars within that group. This Eucalyptus grandis has been grown in south central Florida probably since the early 1950s. So it's a proven plant, proven tree. And we've taken that and now we're trying to propagate that for people that are interested in converting some of their citrus to eucalyptus, or others that might be in the cattle business, or large landowners that want to put just vacant land to business and generate income from it. Why the eucalyptus? Eucalyptus is a great growing tree. I mean, this tree grows about 15 feet a year. It's hard to imagine that we can start with a handful of seed, which almost looks like ground pepper, and in 90 to 100 days have a tree about this tall. Stick that thing in the ground, and within 6 months, the thing could be almost 8 feet tall. So the growth rate on those trees compared to other comparable trees, say to pine, is probably 4 times or 5 times as fast. Within 4 or 5 years, you can have a tree that's about 45 feet tall. So what do we do with that? What we're looking for in the state of Florida is to use that tree for energy. And what you're able to do with eucalyptus, unlike a standard tree, say like pine, is you're able to cut that tree down. You can harvest that tree right down into the stump. That stump then will coppice itself. It will shoot up another shoot right out of it. That allows you to let that tree grow again on another 4-year cycle, and then you harvest it again. Unlike these other traditional trees used for energy, or have been used for energy in different parts of the southeastern United States, they take like 25 years to get up to the scale where they're really a marketable tree. So eucalyptus provides at least 4 or 5 cuttings like that. So, you plant the tree, 25 years later, you probably take your last harvest from that tree. Take that tree and grind it, and we're looking at I think the best thing that we can do with this tree is be able to pelletize it and burn it for electrical generation. And the EU, European Union, has passed some of the regulations to produce at least 15 to 30% on a gradual scale up of their energy from sustainable green energy. And this is one way of doing it. It's sustainable, and regulated, and it's just not cutting down native forests. So if you plant this plantation, and we suggest anywhere to start out with would be about a 500 acre minimum, and the ideal would be 1,000 and above trees, not trees, but acres, and you plant about 1,000 trees per acre. But once you get into that cycle with the European Union, they basically register your plantation, you report to what's happening. When you're ready to harvest, they send a representative, they take a look at it, it's all controlled, and it's off and going. Right now, there's really a good example of that happening in two places. One is in the state of Florida in Cottondale, and they ship out of Panama City. And another one, a European German company, power company, just put in a pellet plant in Waycross, Georgia. And they are using pine at this time mainly for their tree sources, but they ship out of Savannah. So we think as far as South Florida or South Central Florida is concerned, mainly for this grandis from I-4 south, offers a great place, probably one of the best places in the world to grow these trees. You know, we're all here because we enjoy our climate, and these trees love this climate. So, you know, when you have these 365-day, 24 hours a day, they are growing and growing and growing. So that's a great thing. The other great thing is the state of Florida has some great shipping areas to ship out of. So, and the run from Florida on the East Coast to Europe is pretty short when you consider who the competition is and where they would come with trees. And everybody says, oh, heck, Russia, they'll just get all those trees out of Russia. Well, those are native forests. So it's a whole different, little bit different situation. So we're looking at eucalyptus as for a possibility of being a real good source to produce green energy. At the present time, there's one plant that is permitted that's being in the they're right at the point where they're getting their last financing. It'll be located in Fort Meade, Florida, which is about halfway between us and Tampa. And that plant is permitted to use wood for their generation of electrical source. That's going to be exciting. We are looking for people that are interested in planting these trees. We offer all types of services to help them get started. The other piece that we grow is called Pongamia. Now this is more of an orchard type setup, maybe more familiar to people that are producing oranges at this time or growing oranges. It's not a forestry. Eucalyptus is more of a forestry situation. Pongamia is a tree that goes back 1,000 years in India. And they've grown Pongamia all the way from India, all the way through Southeast Asia, down into Australia. And this is a unique tree. This tree is brought to Florida many years ago as an ornamental. And it can go to about 40 feet tall. It has a very nice bloom on it, but it produces these little nuts that are about like this, and they're kind of flat in shape. They have a seed inside. That seed contains about 40 to 50% oil. So you crush that and you're able to take that oil from that seed. And 1,000 years ago, the Indians in India were basically burning that oil for their lamps in their homes. So we think that will do very good for biodiesel and for bioenergy. Higher energy sources other than just burning it up in a gas tank. I think that looks good. All the crushed seed cake can be used for cattle feed, and there's also some uses to be used for pesticides and agricultural uses. The tree is grown in an orchard setup, similar like you grow almonds. They keep them only about 20 feet tall, and the labor to shake the fruit out or the nuts out of the tree is basically a tree shaker. You don't have people that have to get up in the tree, so it's mechanical harvesting. So that makes it a good source. It's a tough tree. It takes a lot of abuse. It's been good in all different types of planting and soil conditions. So we are working with people on field trials at this point in time, small. We have about 10 different trials. There's probably about 1,000 acres of it out in Florida now. But we are looking again for people that are interested in that. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. Okay. My name is Fabrício Pereira. I'm from Quimatec of Brazil. Here I will introduce you just a few history about Quimatec and after about the project we want to show you today. Quimatec is 32 years. We have one headquarters in Araraquara, state of São Paulo, and 2 branches. And we started one branch here in Florida with the name is Vina, is another company of the group. Our annual sales is approximately $50 million. We have 108 employees. In Araraquara, the total area is 6,000 square meters and 10,000 of construction area. Our R&D team, we have one Ph.D. in physical chemistry of surface, one master degree in biochemistry, 2 biologists, 3 chemistry technicians, and we have 16 chemistries in our sales team. This is our plant in Araraquara. We have some certifications we have, the ISO 9001 about quality, 4001 about environment. SASMAC is an assessment system of health, safety, environment and quality established and acquired by the Brazilian Association of Chemical Industry to transportation and manufacture chemical products. We also have the kosher certificate and the halal certificate. Some awards we have, like as recognition, we serve products to the sugar and ethanol industries from Brazil. Quimatec has received the award Master Cana in Products and Inputs category since 2003, and the award Vision in Technology Innovation since 2006. As a proof of Quimatec commitment to environment and sustainability, we were awarded with the ECO 2008 prize in modality of Business Social Responsibility Practice, category Environment, realized by Anshan and the newspaper Economic Valley. This prize also was the person who was given the prize was the Bogart. Quimatec also received an award by Fiesp, the Federation of São Paulo Industries, Emphasis in Environment, 2011, Emphasis on Quality in 2013, and Gold Award among large companies in 2012 and 2013. Now the project I want to show you. Just one thing here. Quimatec has chemical product supply for ethanol and sugar productions, and we are working on this new additive to make this new biofuel. Etabiodiesel. This is the name of the new biofuel. Etabiodiesel is a biofuel derived from the transesterification of vegetable oils or animal fats, ethyl anhydrous ethanol, plus additive by etabil, Quimatec additive. And Quimatec Vina has the technology and the patent of the additive, etabil, and the etabiodiesel plant. The etabiodiesel can be used for all diesel engines, trucks, tractor, agricultural machines, and generations, and also in aviation turbine for electric generation. The final composition after pass the plant of etabiodiesel is more or less 65% of ethyl ester, 35% of anhydrous ethanol. This can be any kind of ethanol, like by algae, by corn, by sugar, by cellulosic ethanol, and 0.5% of etabil, the additive. Here are some comparatives and biodiesel plants and etabiodiesel plants. The building area in biodiesel have a necessary big area, and the biodiesel plants 70% less. The installed capacity, you have 80% less to the biodiesel plants. The cost of implementation and the cost of operation, they are 50% less than a biodiesel plant. Distillation condensation is not required in the plant of biodiesel. That's why we have this decrease of the cost in the area and the capacity. And because of this, it's not necessary water in the process. In the biodiesel, it's necessary high use. And you don't have the wastewater contaminated with methanol and condensate salts. The explosion risk that's high in biodiesel plants is low here, because you don't work with methanol and you don't have the distillation phase. That's the risk of explosion we have in biodiesel plants. And another advantage is that the glycerin, the residual glycerin you have in biodiesel plants, they are contaminated with methanol and they have a low value added. But in the biodiesel plants, they are contaminated with ethanol, so they have a chance of pharmaceutical fuels. So because of this, you have a high value added. And here is a comparison about the fuels: diesel, biodiesel, and biodiesel. The raw material from diesel, they are non-renewable. Biodiesel have 90% renewable because you need to use methanol. And biodiesel 100% renewable. The consumption is regular, and you have 5% higher from these two. The cost, this depends, and the diesel depends on the petroleum, the oil price. In biodiesel, the oil price because the methanol and soybean oil. And biodiesel, you have depends on the ethanol, soybean oil, and animal fats. This is the great advantage, because the animal fats, they have a low value today. The particulate emissions, you have a high emission with diesel, 80% less with biodiesel, and 90% less with biodiesel. CO2 emissions, high and low in these two cases. NOx emissions, you have a high emission with biodiesel and medium emission with biodiesel and diesel. The sulfur emissions, you generate with diesel, and you don't generate using biodiesel or biodiesel. The lubricity, you have a higher lubricity with biodiesel, but you still have a high lubricity with biodiesel. The cetan number, also you have a high number here and a higher with biodiesel. And here is another great advantage, the freezing points. Why you can't use animal fats to make biodiesel? Because you have a high freezing point, 66 Fahrenheit. Because this you need to use only vegetable oils. Using the biodiesel, you can use animal fats. They still have a low freezing point. Other benefits you have is you can be using in diesel cycle engines without modifications. You have an extension engine lives, allow the application of carbon credits, at least in Brazil. You can decrease the health problems due to air pollution, job creation, decrease consumption of fossil fuels, increase demand for ethanol, increase in value add of animal fats. Some history of this research. We have 8 years of existence research in these additives. We have our own fleet using biodiesel since 2012. We are using with this biofuel 3 trucks, 2 tractors, and 3 forklifts. More than 4 million invested in R&D. Several analyses performed by certified agents. Records of patents and trademarks. A pilot plant of ethanol additive and a pilot plant of biodiesel. The next steps. What we are looking here. We are open for a partnership with an American metal companies for manufacture and sell ethanol diesel plants in the world, except of South America. Government and local university support for ethanol diesel tests. Set up a branch to distribute the ethanol additive in the United States, and later a real possibility for building a factory of ethanol in the United States. And a partnership with local universities and local businesses to research potential aircraft use by mixing 50% of ethanol diesel and 50% of jet A1 aviation kerosene. And I would like a special thanks to the Space Coast Energy by the invitation and the possibility to presentation our project to you. And thanks to Brazil Florida Chamber of Commerce for introducing us to Space Coast Energy and helping us to foster another business opportunity in Florida. Thanks for our attention. Sorry for any English misspelling. Our team will be in Florida for the next days, so anyone who want to talk with us, we would like to. Thank you.
Great job. Great job. Okay. Last but certainly not least, we have Angela. I'm not going to take a risk on the last one. I think what I'll do is, you want to come up here and just talk to us a little bit? Angela's with the USDA, has some exciting new programs that are floating around out there and opportunities. So you want to talk to us a little bit about your application process?
Yes, thank you. And so you didn't butcher my name. The last name is pronounced Prioleau. Good afternoon, or good morning. Again, let's see where I can put this. My name is Angela Prioleau with USDA Rural Development out of the state of Florida. I am the Florida Energy Coordinator, which is a collateral hat that I wear, as well as being an area director, directing all of the USDA Rural Development programs throughout North Florida. So it's a pleasure to be here with you today to share with you information about our energy programs. Many times I meet people, one of the first things they say or they ask me about USDA is, you know, are you developing beef? And they don't realize that there are many components of the USDA, and we all have different purposes and functions. And our agency is primarily a financing agency. We provide funding for many things. If you come over to our booth, you'll see that we finance and have information about our housing programs, our business programs, our economic development and community facilities programs, utilities. But a portion of our business program is energy. The USDA has what we call a 9007 Rural Energy for America program that was originally a part of the 2008 Farm Bill. And that Farm Bill had about 12 to 15 programs that were not just USDA rural development, but also other USDA agency focused. Well, right now the Farm Bill is still gelling and coming together. But in the meantime, the agency has looked and identified the programs that are the most popular, and we have continued to fund them outside of that Farm Bill, and will continue to. And we have been really successful in pulling together the resources to meet the needs of our applicants. The program is designed to provide funding for small businesses, farmers, and ag producers, and obtaining funds for renewable energy and energy efficiency improvements. 90% of USDA rural development's funding goes to municipalities and nonprofits. This is one of the few programs that we have that we actually provide some resources and support for small businesses. Usually farmers obtain funds or resources from our sister agency, Farm Service Agency, but we also provide resources to what we call agricultural producers. Farmers, but also people who are involved in the agricultural production industry. The purpose of the program, again, is to provide renewable energy and energy efficiency funding for projects, so that we can either help you in producing energy or help you in reducing your energy consumption. USDA is not in the market to go out and provide anybody with 100% funding for their projects. We're here to be a resource to make projects more economically and financially feasible for an organization to move forward or a business to move forward and do. The same holds true with our energy programs. To be eligible for the program, again, I mentioned you have to be an ag producer or a rancher, which means at least 51% of your income has to be derived from that agricultural source or resource. If you notice, our name, rural development, means we are in rural communities or suburban communities. So ag producers, however, have an exemption. If you're an ag producer, you can apply for our program and be eligible for it regardless of where you are. You can be on top of the Empire State Building, it doesn't matter to us. But, however, that's the only community that has that exemption for rural. If you're a small business, you still must meet our rural definition and requirement, which means that you need to be in a city or a town with a population that is less than 50,000. Now, in the state of Florida, that's very, very difficult to derive what's rural and what's not for us. And this is why I have our website up here, and you'll also find our website and all this information on a cute little fact sheet that I have here, and I also have at my booth. Everything you hear today is gonna be on that fact sheet, so you don't have to write a lot of things down. But it's important to know this in Florida because we have these large pockets of population that encroaches upon some of our rural areas. So it's very difficult to make that determination. So we just cut to the chase and we go straight to our eligibility website, and the website maps it out. You can put in your address to find out if you're eligible for our programs. The grant portion of the program is designed to provide at least 25% of your project cost for your particular project. For renewable energy projects, we can provide up to 25% grant or up to $500,000. For energy efficiency projects, we can provide a 25% total, up to 25% of your total project cost, or up to $2,500 maximum grant. The remaining part of the your project cost has to be a match from either your line of credit or another funding source. Many people combine our programs with some of the programs with the Department of Energy, IRS, as well as Duke Energy, and some of the other energy providers have some programs where you can marry or mingle these funds to make your project even more cost effective and make your payback period for your technology that you're about to implement more effective. So that's the basis of the program. It's just to provide you a bridge or a mechanism to make this project that will be more beneficial for you in the long run and helping you consume less energy, more feasible for you to do. Eligible project costs is anything that you have done within that project after you have submitted an application. It could be for the purchase of the equipment, your fees, your permitting, the audits, any energy audits that may be required for your application. The main focus or main thing to remember is you must submit the application first before you start your project. So if you're in the development phase, it's a good time to start some dialogue with me. As long as you haven't started construction, we can probably work with you. We have a guaranteed loan component of this, where not only can we provide you a 25% grant, but we can also work with you and your lender with a guaranteed loan. And for those of you who are not familiar with what a guaranteed loan is, it's when we don't provide the funds directly from the agency or from the government. What we want to do is empower the lending community to support your community. So what we're doing is we're providing them a guarantee against loss for you in the event that they provide you with that loan. We can provide a loan up to, it depends on the dollar amount of your loan, 70, 80, 90%. You can couple and do a combination application with a loan and a grant. However, in any situation, in any business, everybody understands that everyone has to have some skin in the game. 25% of the project cost has to come from a non-federal source or from the applicant. So even if we do provide you with the guaranteed loan and the grant, the two combined cannot be over 75% of the total project cost. There's a guarantee fee associated with it, as well as a small renewal fee each year that the lender puts into that process. For this particular part of the process, the applicant to us is the actual lender. We want, like again, our goal is to make lenders, put them in a position that they can provide more funding to our communities. And so there are lots of things that are built in to make this program more attractive to lenders, such as not having, not being against their loan limits, allowing them to sell the guarantees on the secondary market. Many incentives that we try to put out there to help lenders start lending more to our communities. For contact information, you can contact either myself or our program director for our business programs. His name is Joe Mueller. Again, all of this information is on a fact sheet. I have a booth that has the fact sheets for renewable energy projects, energy efficiency projects, as well as our business and industry guarantee loan, which is a program that is designed for loan guarantees, but it's not specifically just for energy projects. It could be for any business project, for small or even larger businesses. But again, many of our programs primarily are designed for rural or suburban areas. And again, on our fact sheet, I have our eligibility requirements as well as where you could find if you're in an eligible community or not. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. Right now, we are in we're in the tail end of a funding cycle. Our notice of funding availability came out in the Federal Registry a few months ago. The deadline for the Rural Energy for America grant program was this past Friday. It was extended for another week. So if there's anybody that has an interest of pulling something together real fast, I'm not sure if you can do that, but they extended it for a brief period of time. We did obtain a little bit more money or funding that the agency could put together just to put out there into the program. And but again, we're on a continuous funding cycle from one fiscal year to the next. So I'll be glad to entertain and look at pre-applications with you in advance of the next NOFA to make sure that your application is in a position that it can be funded the absolute best. One of the last things I want to mention is that we also partner with we also partner with the state of Florida as well as some of the other cooperatives in the state in providing resources to you for, say, for instance, for energy audits and so forth. So if you have any questions as it relates to that, the state of Florida was awarded, and Talquin Electric and some of the other electric cooperatives were awarded funding to help mitigate some of the costs for obtaining energy audits, to find out if many of these projects will be economically feasible for you to do or not. So they're here today as well, and just feel free to stop by our booth or stop by and talk with them and get a little bit more information if you want to find out more about that. We also have funds for feasibility studies. If you'd like to start with the feasibility study grant application first to find out if it's going to be feasible for you to move forward or not, you can do that, and then the following year follow up with a REAP grant application. So that's my time. I just wanted to share with you what we do and where we are. Again, I'm at a booth in the back, and I have lots of information for you, and I'll be glad to help you or have someone in our 7 area offices in the state of Florida help you with any of the processing. Thank you. That's right. There you go.
Thank you very much. Okay, I probably need to get clearance on one thing. We just had 4, I think, very nice presentations in diverse areas, but quite frankly, all progressing forward, all forward-thinking and solution-driven. So I certainly appreciate you guys being here and sharing your vision, your thoughts. Now the clearance. Somebody with Space Coast. It's noon. I haven't asked any questions.
Yeah, go ahead, couple questions here, absolutely.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Eucalyptus tree, is that considered an invasive tree? Do you have to have a special permit for it? Is it considered a hardwood? Or will it grow in sandy, wet conditions down in South Florida?
It'll grow in sandy conditions. It doesn't like to be wet. This particular variety that we have is non-invasive according to the University of Florida. And it is a hardwood. The unique thing about eucalyptus is it's not only used for energy, but it's also used since it is a hardwood, it's used for making paper, fine printing paper.
So it burns well because it's so hard.
Yes, sir.
The cost, or I should say the yield per acre, citrus versus eucalyptus, higher, lower, about the same?
Oh, citrus is higher.
Eucalyptus is higher?
Citrus is higher for eucalyptus is more of a.
Yes. Okay, you said two, there's a couple more floating around.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, yes, sir.
Patrick, any thoughts, over here we got a big problem with the Indian River with a lot of nutrients and pollutants coming in. And it seems like another angle on bio is remediation and, maybe not don't even generate electricity, but, environmental cleanup and turning your critters into, things that can help the environment. Any thoughts to that?
We have talked to some folks at South Florida Water Management, and there is some potential for us to maybe get into that, but right now we're, with any small company having limited resources, we're pretty focused on biofuels.
I would say in the state of Florida, if you can build a bug that'll eat phosphorus and nitrogen, you'd be golden. Yes, sir, last one.
In regards to a standard biomass fuel plant, what's your water capacity utilization rate? Whomever,
Is that for eucalyptus or for algae?
or the eucalyptus.
Okay.
Sir, I don't know those rates. We grow the trees, we don't convert them. I don't know what the rates you're at, so I don't have the answer for that.
Okay, all right. Well, guys, thank you so much. This has been fantastic.